Good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks with me, Poonam Burde. Chaos, disruption and pandemonium. Those are the words that best describe what we've witnessed in the parliament for the last 48 hours. Even in the Rajya Sabha, the House of Elders as it's called, there was screaming and shouting and an eventual adjournment within minutes of the House convening on both these days. 2 days of complete washout in both the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Many would say it's for good reason, because the chaos and ruckus is over an issue that has given thousands of people sleepless nights. But let me ask you this. Is it good reason if there isn't any logical conclusion? I say that because while we have the entire country demanding justice for 3 women who were paraded naked in Manipur, unfortunately there is no debate or discussion in the parliament. Neither are all the culprits behind bars yet, 78 days after the abominable crime was committed. While the probe happens at a snail's pace, the politics is galloping. From comparisons being made to other states by the BJP, to a united opposition refusing to budge from its stand of a statement from the Prime Minister on the floor of the Lok Sabha. So who exactly is derailing justice? I ask that because our esteemed members of Parliament seem to be caught in the nitty-gritties. Many would say they perhaps must take a step back, a step beyond political divides and look at the larger picture, the larger interest of the people of Manipur. Let me tell you what those nitty-gritties are that our MPs seem to be caught in. Now both sides, both the Treasury benches and the opposition want a debate, but they differ on which rule it should take place under. The government says it was willing to discuss the Manipur issue right from the start. The leader of the House in the Rajya Sabha, Piyush Goyal, even said that the government has absolutely no objections. It's citing Rule 176, which allows for a short duration discussion. The rule states that any member that desires of raising a discussion on a matter of urgent public importance may give a notice in writing to the Secretary General. The notice shall be accompanied by an explanatory note stating reasons for raising this discussion, and the discussion shall not exceed 2.5 hours. That particular condition of 2.5 hours is what is not acceptable to the opposition, which is why they are citing Rule 267, under which a Rajya Sabha member of Parliament has special powers. They have a power to suspend the pre-decided agenda of the House with the approval of the Rajya Sabha chairman. The opposition says all other business needs to be suspended and this issue needs to be taken up with urgency under Rule 267 because it allows for longer discussions and not limited to just 2.5 hours. So who's holding the parliament to ransom? Who is responsible for the washout that we've seen for the last 2 days? Before we delve into that, take a look at how the Manipur issue has rocked the parliament.
Two women stripped and paraded naked amid the violence that has gripped Manipur for over 2 months. A video from May that has sent shockwaves across the country. 25 men are seen brutalizing these women and 4 suspects are in custody. The Chief Minister has promised swift action, saying no guilty will be spared.
जो गुनहगार है उसको कड़े से कड़े सजा दे और इसको एक्शन ले ले लीगली.
There is no end to the anger on the streets, with the homes of 2 suspects torched. But the reverberations were also felt in Parliament, which saw a stormy session on day 2.
मैं स्पष्ट रूप से यह आरोप लगाना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि सचमुच यह प्रतिपक्ष मणिपुर की घटना को लेकर जितना गंभीर होना चाहिए वो गंभीर नहीं है.
It is a serious issue as it is, a sensitive issue as it is, that Manipur was going through and all communities were suffering. And I'm sure no effort will be left unaddressed in getting these people punished.
The BJP has made it clear that it is ready for a debate on Manipur, but newfound unity in the opposition camp has taken a direct shot at the Prime Minister, calling for the Manipur Chief Minister's resignation.
मणिपुर में 2 महीनों से पूरा प्रदेश जल रहा है. महिलाओं के साथ भयावह अत्याचार हो रहा है और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 77 दिन के लिए कोई बयान ही नहीं दिया इस पे.
जब पार्लियामेंट चल रहा है तो उनकी ड्यूटी होती है कि वो खबर पहले हमारे लोकसभा राज्यसभा में बोलना और समझाना, उसके बाद में चर्चा होना, ये हमारा मकसद है.
कहा गया आपका बेटी बचाओ स्लोगन, आज बेटी जला रहा है, आज बेटी जल रहा है, आज मणिपुर जल रहा है, आज पूरा देश जल रहा है.
Are you comparing it with what's happening in Bengal? Let's have a discussion in Bengal. Why are you reducing everything to state versus state?
मैं हाथ जोड़ के विनती करता हूं केंद्र सरकार से कि नींद से जागे और इस विषय पे चर्चा कराए.
The BJP, meanwhile, is trying to turn the narrative to crimes in opposition-ruled states, with BJP MP Locket Chatterjee breaking down over the inaction linked to the Panchayat poll violence in West Bengal.
हम लोग भी देश का बेटी है, मणिपुर का भी देश का बेटी है, पश्चिम बंगाल बाहर नहीं है.
It is another showdown that has paralyzed Parliament as the opposition tries to maintain the momentum against the Modi government. But is it guilty of holding the Parliament ransom to score political points?
सदन की कार्रवाई 12 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है.
Joining me on this broadcast, spokesperson of the BJP, Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the Congress, Sujata Paul, Member of Parliament for Rajya Sabha of the TMC, Dr. Shantanu Sen is with me as well. But I want to begin this conversation with Beena Lakshmi Nepram, the founder and director of Manipur Women Gun Survivors Network. Ms. Nepram, do you feel disappointed today? Do you feel let down that after 2 days of Parliament being in session, after the kind of narrative that we've seen across political party lines, we haven't even taken the first step towards a debate or discussion?
Absolutely. This inability of different political parties in our country is a complete letdown in spite of more than 48 hours since the viral videos really shocked the conscience of each and everyone in this country. It's a shame that the different political parties in the world's largest democracy have failed to discuss this issue. This is a collective failure, a time for introspection of India's democracy, the mother of all democracies. This is a greatest blot, and we have been telling time and again from Manipur for so many years, asking people in New Delhi and other policymakers to look into what is happening. So the first thing is that this is not portraying this as a thing between two ethnic groups. This is an assault on the whole country. It is not an assault on our two sisters, what happened. This is an assault on the body politic of our country. It's an assault on the democracy of our country. And this is also very complicated because Manipur is a border state. When we fight within each other, within Manipur and within India, ask yourself who benefits. This is Manipur and northeast of India share borders with 5 countries: China, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. If we do not get our acts together, we will be failing collectively as a country to protect Manipur and protect the nation. So it's a very critical time, and it is important that the men and those in politics stop playing politics over women's bodies. Happened in Tanjung Roma. It happened with our 2 sisters and several others unreported cases right now. There are several cases of rape and sexual assault on women in Manipur and across the northeast of India for a long, long time and across the country. Rape happens every 22 minutes. But the men, the people of our country must stop playing. Women are not in decision making, politically, economically, and socially. This is one, in fact, India's women in workforce has reduced to 19%. We are regressing as a gender inclusive nation. As a result, what you're seeing in Manipur is a manifestation of very long, wrong politics where men with guns, drugs, and political power have played with our lives. It is a very critical time in the 75th year of India's independence that we need to collectively respond as Manipuris, as fellow Indians, that we need to introspect 75 years of where we have gone wrong. Can you imagine that the history of 45 million citizens in northeast of India is still in the textbooks of our country? If you do not understand us, how dare you even make policies on us? As a result, these negative policies have resulted in collective failure in which New Delhi is complicit in connecting with men who are criminals to be in our politics. We have criminals, drug warlords sitting in as members of the Legislative Assembly. As long as criminals are in our democracy, as long as our votes are purchased, we will never be able to get peace in Manipur. And the women and the children and the young girls, we will never be safe unless women are in decision making, that we are able to collectively fight this together.
And yes, the issue of Manipur is a complex one, but this is not complex. And Sanju Verma, I want to get you in as well on this. This issue is simply about what's happening in Manipur for the last 3 months, the inaction that has happened for over 78 days in this one particular case. Is it not time for us to keep our political ideologies, our political divides aside and stand together as a country within the temple of democracy, which is the parliament, and have a discussion on this?
You know, Poonam, I was on air yesterday with you, and I reinforce what I said yesterday, that the perpetrators should not be spared. There should be no ifs or buts whatsoever, because what we saw happening to those two kooky women, it is deplorable to say the least, and cutting across political affiliations. I'm the national spokesperson of the BJP. At the same time, I'm an empowered, thinking Indian, an empowered, thinking woman. But I think, Beena Lakshmi made a very interesting point, and I just have this to say, because, while we condemn, and I'm sure the state government will do the needful in terms of bringing the perpetrators to justice, I think this is a problem that has been simmering for the last many decades. While Manipur came into existence on the 21st of January 1972, please note that for the longest time under the Congress, there was bloodshed, insurgency. Let's not forget to acknowledge the fact that since the BJP came to power in Manipur in 2017, in the last 6 odd years, things have taken a turn for the better, barring the last 3 months, of course. For instance, under the Congress-led UPA between 2004 and 2014, 772 civilians died. That number has come down by more than 6 times in the last 6 years. While every life is valuable, the number of civilian deaths has come down to 122. The number of Jawans killed under the Congress-led UPA from 2004 to 2014 was 219. That number today under the Modi government, and under Biren Singh, in Manipur, that number stands whittled down to 71. The number of insurgency-related incidents, Poonam, insurgency-related incidents during 2004 to 2014 under the Congress were 4,763 incidents of insurgency. That number today is down to 1,600 under the double-engine Modi Sarkar, which is almost a 3 times reduction. So while we will bring the perpetrators to justice, has the Modi government done enough? It has done enough and needs to do more. Let's not forget that after a long period of bloodshed, finally in the last 6 years, there has been a semblance of peace and calm. And I will just say this, another very important point which Beena Lakshmi made, I think the most important thing has been that the Modi government has mainstreamed the Northeast. Do you know, Poonam, before coming on your show, I did some homework. The Northeast, Assam got its first broad gauge railway line only as recently as 2016. Tripura got its first broad gauge railway line in 2017.
Sure.
Manipur got its first broad gauge railway line.
Sure, Sanjay Verma, nobody is questioning, or even the subject of the debate today is not about the development or mainstreaming of the Northeast. We're talking about one specific state, the issue that plagues that particular state, especially in the last 3 months. Beena Lakshmi, Pram, you wanted to make a counter. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Because yes, we respect all the important things that the government has done. No one is denying that. But, please understand that the way in which Manipur has been plunged into the darkest moment in our history, Kukis and Meiteis never fought with each other. How come the government of the state and the center must now answer? Ask the National Security Advisor, ask the Prime Minister. He kept quiet for 76 days. So for us, for the people of Manipur, 3.3 million people, you are pitting sisters against sisters, brothers against sisters, mothers against mothers. Pitting anyone. What kind of politics is this? What kind of politics is this? I am not with any political party, neither do I want to intend to. I love India's democracy, but the democracy, the electoral democracy has destroyed our lives. We are appealing as Manipuris to all political parties in the country, stop your tutu meme, because it asks Thangja Manorama's lives, the lives of our Kukizo sisters, the Ahanjaubi, so many cases, Naga women, Kuki women, Meitei women have been repeatedly raped over the past 4-5 decades. So please stop playing politics over our lives.
Absolutely. Governments come and go, governments change in the state and at the center, but unfortunately the situation for the people on ground in Manipur is not changing. And the anger that Beena Lakshmi Nepram, the frustration that she comes with on this debate is not her alone. It's that of the entire state, and the least we can do, especially in the light of what's happened in the last 48 hours, is hold a civil discussion on this issue in the parliament. And I want to get in a member of parliament who joins us on this broadcast, Dr. Shantanu Sen. We've seen the kind of commotion that has happened in both houses of parliament, both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Now, the nitty-gritties is what seems to be the sticking point between the treasury benches and the opposition. But can we not have a discussion under Rule 176? That is something that talks about an issue that is of urgent public importance. Is this not an issue of urgent public importance? Why then get into the nitty-gritties of which rule to follow, which rule to look into while this discussion happens? Why not begin that discussion in the first place?
If you see the chronology of events that are taking place in the parliament in last few years, you will very well understand that the treasury bench is always running away from discussion, whatever might be the issue is. Our leader of Rajya Sabha, Derek O'Brien, he has raised 267. Unfortunately, in the last few years, there was hardly any 267 that is matter of urgent importance was allowed to be discussed by the chair. The fact is, the ruling BJP party, they don't have any answer to this question. You have seen that our learned Prime Minister, who happens to be the publicity master instead of Prime Minister.
I take strong objection to your stupid language against the Prime Minister.
Let's keep this civil. Let's not heckle each other. Sanju Verma, I'll come back to you. I'll give you your time to respond.
But I will not allow him to use this kind of language for the Prime Minister.
I have seen.
Also, Dr. Sen, I want to make this clear to the viewers who are watching this debate as well. The government has made it very clear that they're open to having discussions. They've said this from even before the session began. Which is why when I asked you the question, I spoke about the nitty-gritties that we're getting into. There's one rule that the opposition wants the discussion under. There's one rule that the government wants the discussion under. But why talk about those rules? Why can't just have the discussion?
Madam Ankar, I am not here to please you. If you are not ready to listen to anything which is against the Prime Minister of India,
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Dr. Sen. That was Sanju Verma.
You are asking me some question and you are interfering repeatedly. Then why do you invite the representative of Trinamool Congress? You can have a monologue with BJP representative.
Absolutely
only.
not. I wasn't. In fact, I asked Sanju Verma to not interrupt and give you your time. But go ahead. My question was about the rules. Go ahead.
If you ask some question, you should have the patience to listen to the panelists.
Sure, Dr. Sen, go ahead.
You cannot act being one-sided. Absolutely.
I'm not trying to be, sir. Go ahead.
Our Prime Minister was silent for 78 days. You tell me what type of step has been taken by the BJP double-engine government. You tell me what has been done by this BJP government. Instead of that, they are trying to clarify the event. Our BJP panelist, she is talking about the development. If this is the symbol of development in a double-engine run Sarkar, then this Sarkar must not continue for a single second in future. And that's why people of India, they have made up their mind to
Sanju Verma, please, let him have his time. Let him finish. I'll come back to you. Dr. Sen, go ahead. Dr. Sen? I believe we have some issues with that line, but Dr. Sen was trying to make a point here as far as the debate and discussion on this particular issue goes. And the silence of the Prime Minister is something that many within the opposition have raised. The Prime Minister spoke just a few minutes before the Parliament session began yesterday, but why has he not spoken for the last 3 months is a question that many within the opposition have raised. The Prime Minister's statement on the floor of the House is also something that the opposition is adamant on. That is a demand that Sujata Paul, the opposition, including the Congress, has been making. That we will not let this forward as far as before the Prime Minister comes and make a statement. Many would say that you're setting terms and holding the Parliament ransom. There's legislative business that's to be done. There's a discussion on Manipur that's to be done as well. So let's take that first step and begin.
Can there be anything important than Manipur today? And let me make it very clear. I didn't want to get into this, but because the BJP spokesperson has come up with this, let me remind her that Iram Sharmila started her protest on 5th November 2000, and it was the BJP government in place at the center at that time. And there was burning of the Speaker's house on 18 June 2001 when there was a 3-month blockade. So let's not get there because I don't want to get into this this kind of thing, because the video which has come out has really shaken all of us to the core. And as being a woman today, I think we need to talk about this issue even more. Let me put certain facts before you. You just spoke about why we are asking the Prime Minister to speak, because the Prime Minister is, of course, the person who everybody is going to look up towards when such a situation happens. When Manipur is burning, the sole responsibility cannot be of the government. When Mr. Modi takes precedence for every matter and is hailed
If
for
you don't
every
want me to
decision
speak,
he
then I
takes.
will leave the debate. I don't understand.
Sanju
Please
Verma, I
tell
will
her
come
not
back
to
to you.
speak.
Sujata Paul has been waiting patiently on this debate. It's 18 minutes into the show. Let her have her say. I'll come back to you.
You know, the fact is that this incident happened on the 4th of May, and this has come out after 77 days because of 76 days because of a video. And if this video hadn't come, would you and I have really known what was happening there? Because the internet is banned over there. Mr. Biren Singh has already announced to the world that there are hundreds of FIRs of similar kind. This means that many of your and my sisters have been ravaged. Their vaginas were groped in that video. Their breasts were groped. Can you even imagine what it makes you feel? It makes you feel like you are nude in front of the world and the entire world is watching us. It is not about just one woman who has suffered this. It is about you and me. All of us are suffering in that one woman. And I really feel sorry that we are pitting one rape against another. We are refusing to leave aside every business today and have a discussion on this matter. Why not Rule 267? Why Rule 176? Because in Rule 267, you have the right to vote as well. And that is the reason why the government is on the back foot. They don't want people to talk about it. Now, look at what happened. 1800 hours later, the Prime Minister spoke for 8 minutes, 25 seconds, out of which he gave only 36 seconds to the women of Manipur. And there also, he was pitting rapes. He was pitting crimes against women from one state to the other. And those were all...
this can't be a monologue by the Congress, Poonam.
Sure. Sanju Verma, I will come to you. 30 seconds. Sujata Paul, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yes, if I want, I can bring up Uttarakhand, Ankita Bhandari, and all the other girls.
Sure. Let's not compare states. Let's not compare one crime to the other. Like I've been saying this, one crime is not bigger than the other or lesser than the other. We need to talk about this particular crime at hand, and that's the issue at hand that we're talking about, this particular state that we're talking about. So Sanju Verma, let me ask you this. Sanju Verma, let me ask you this. Now we've seen 2 days of no discussion that have happened. There is a weekend in between. Monday, both houses resume. Perhaps there could be an olive branch, perhaps there could be a peace offering, so to say, and the government makes the initiative, say, let's set a date and time and we'll discuss this. That confidence building measure, not just for the opposition or for the members of parliament, but also perhaps for the people of the state of Manipur who want their elected representatives sit and listen to their issues being spoken of.
You know, Poonam, that's a very interesting question, and I will just say that, not only extending an olive branch, but I think the government will go the extra mile. And I say this today with a lot of responsibility, because cutting across the tu-tu-meh and the, riff-raff of a heated debate on national television, the important point is that we heal the Kukis, we heal the Maitis, we heal the Naga tribes, we heal Manipur's citizenry. But equally, if there are allegations that have been made against the BJP, this is not about one rape versus another, one state versus another. But I will not, hold back prisoners on one count. And that is, when it comes to Rahul Gandhi, who talks about Mohabbat ki dukaan, when it comes to Priyanka Vadra, who says, Ladki hu, lad sakti hu. So Rahul Gandhi, just last week in Karoli, a young woman was gang raped, acid thrown on her face, she was mutilated, and her body was dumped in a deserted well. Has Rahul Gandhi tweeted? He otherwise tweets on everything under the sun. There was a horrific Alwar gang rape last year. Rahul, Priyanka Vadra and Sonia Gandhi were celebrating Sonia's 76th birthday. Ranthambore National Park and Alwar are only 224 kilometers apart. Why could Priyanka Vadra not visit the Alwar gang rape victim? Have you once bothered to ask for the resignation of Ashok Gehlot? No. Just few days back, a family of 4 was burned to death, including a 4-month-old infant. Has Priyanka Vadra tweeted about it? Has Rahul Gandhi, who keeps giving the naras Mohabbat ki dukaan, even shed crocodile tears for this family of 4 who was murdered and then burnt alive? Or have you spoken about that young girl, Poonam, in Jodhpur? She was forced gang raped in front of her boyfriend on a college campus and then dragged to an open field and gang raped again. And police refused to file a complaint. So BJP will do what it needs to do, but we don't need lessons in political probity and morality from a completely debilitated Congress. And as far the TMC is concerned, I remember Mr. Shantanu Sen, your Mamata Banerjee last year saying after the Hansakhali gang rape, where the 14-year-old was raped by her TMC councillor's son, she said this is not a rape. It is a love affair gone wrong. Maybe the girl was pregnant, so she concocted a story. Will Mamata Banerjee resign as the chief minister and also as the home minister of West Bengal? She has failed miserably.
Sure. We are talking about
miserably.
Sure. Veena Lakshmi Nebram, I understand. We're talking about Manipur, but unfortunately the narrative, the conversation eventually turns to other states, to other crimes. But I want to get in. I want to get in Dr. Shantanu Sen as well, because the issue of Bengal also has come up. That's also something that the BJP has been speaking of in the last few hours, in the last 24 hours, of several such cases like we've seen in Manipur coming up in Bengal as well, which is why the TMC doesn't have any moral responsibility or moral high ground, says the BJP. Dr. Shantanu Sen, how do you respond to those allegations?
If you go through the record, if you go through the report given by National Crime Record Bureau for the last 3 consecutive years, you will see that this condition is perhaps worst in the BJP ruled states. Assault on women, child trafficking, women trafficking, all these incidents are much higher in the BJP ruled states like Uttar Pradesh, like Madhya Pradesh, like Gujarat. BJP talks about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and our learned Prime Minister, he spends 80% of the total budget of this scheme for his own publicity. Few days back, we have seen BJP leader and his son. They have raped one girl who was below 18 years. Few days back, we heard of an incident in Gujarat that the son of one BJP leader molested a 21-year-old girl. If you go through the incidents of Uttras, Hathras, Balarampur, Unnao in Uttar Pradesh, the main problem is BJP has become a shameless party. They are anti-women in
You should be ashamed of yourself.
They hardly have any respect. That's
More
why
than 75 people have died in the Panchayat Poll violence.
Bilkis Banu got bail.
Talk about Shamano.
In the morning,
Talk about Shamano.
The national flag was hoisted by our Prime Minister, and in the evening, the rapists were released from jail.
No, that is a lie. Poonam, that is a lie. I need to rebut. That's a big lie. That's a big lie.
So allegations are flying thick and fast. 30 seconds, Sanju Verma, for that rebuttal. Sujata Paul, I'll come to you.
Dr. Shantanu Sen, you keep taking the Prime Minister's name. I want to ask you one thing. Forget the Kolkata High Court, even the Supreme Court on the 20th of June 2023, just before the Panchayat Poll elections were to start, said that the license to hold polls is not a license to violence, and you fail to inspire confidence. This is the castigation of Mamata Banerjee and the TMC dispensation by the Kolkata High Court and the Supreme Court, no less. And I just want to tell Shantanu Sen one thing. He keeps saying BJP is this, BJP is that. Tell me one thing. Shambhu Das, Dilip Mahara, Deepak Samanta, Abhijit Sarkar, Manish Shukla, these are BJP karyakartas who were hanged or burnt alive. The CBI probe is going on much against the wishes of the TMC, and the Kolkata High Court has repeatedly told Mamata Banerjee, if you cannot maintain law and order, then just say so. Are you saying Kolkata High Court is a handmaiden of the Modi government? Are you saying Supreme Court is a handmaiden of the Modi government? The Mamata Banerjee dispensation has failed.
Sanju Verma, these allegations have been flying thick and fast between the TMC and the BJP as far as post-poll violence goes. Like you've mentioned yourself, the courts have also intervened on multiple occasions. But let's come back to the subject at hand. And that's about this particular crime that has come to the fore from Manipur, the video that we've been talking about for the last 48 hours, and the situation in the state that has happened over the last 3 months or so. Sujata Paul, go ahead. You had a point to make.
Yes. there are things that need to be looked.
Let me come in. My hand for a long time.
Yes, Ms. Nebram, go ahead.
Please, okay. So first of all, again, as I mentioned, India is a democracy. We need different political parties. We need all the people who are working, who are representing people of this country to work together. If we fight amongst each other, other countries, other people, other anti-social elements will take, anti-national elements will take advantage of the situation.
Yes.
Manipur has been asking for the last 6 to 7 decades that we have been asking. So what is happening is right now, the fact that even our 50 members of Legislative Assembly, they have become mum. The people who represent us have become completely mum in Manipur. They have failed to represent us. That is number one. Number two, what we have to focus on is what are the next steps. Politics will remain, but we want India's democracy to be the most robust democracy in the world. By fighting like this, it is not going to work. We, the people of Manipur, are beseeching at this very critical time of this pain that we have seen with this video, as well as so many cases of violence which has happened currently. Lots of beheadings have happened, killings have happened. And we appealed to all the political parties, plus do not divide and rule us. Do not divide 34 ethnic groups in Manipur and thinking you will divide and rule us.
Yes.
Do get away with the colonial policies and politics. Do not play
Absolutely.
politics.
That kind of politics, that kind of policy should also change. Sujata Paul, you had a point to make. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. You know, exactly what Beena Lakshmiji is saying, that let's stop dividing people, because the picture that I was showing you is of the Methi Lipun chief, Pramod Singh, and you can see Golwalkar's picture over there. And there is a reason for that. And what I want to say is that, you know, the policemen who were there, from whom those 3 women were snatched away, has any action been taken against them? Because if you remember, the FIR was registered on the 18th of May in this particular incident. So I'm restricting myself to this, and I'm really worried about how many such FIRs are there. But has any action been taken against those policemen? Those guys were policemen, and they would have easily identified, 50, 60, 70 of those people in the crowd. If there was a crowd of 800 to 1,000, why has that not happened? Only when the video came out is it that one person was arrested. Now they're saying that 3 others have been arrested. Most importantly, when the Home Minister went there, that means he has failed. After that, he didn't get to know. The Chief Minister says that he doesn't know. Shoot at sight orders are issued to the governor, not to the Chief Minister. So the center has no faith in him, that means. And the last point is, where is the National Security Advisor? We are talking about a border state. And if they don't have inputs on a matter like this or matters like this, it is showing that we are, presenting ourselves to greater problems from outside.
Like Beena Lakshmi Nepram was also pointing out that we are leaving room for elements to fish in troubled waters where they shouldn't be given any room. There shouldn't be any elbow room as far as border states like Manipur are concerned. But Sanju Verma, yes, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Poonam, I started this debate by saying that beyond the heinous crime, this is a debate about conflict of interest between the cookies and the mighties. This is a problem that is associated with an ethno-religious conflict. This is a debate. I did not disturb you. Shut up.
Sanju Verma, let's be civil. Let's be civil. But I also want to. Yes, I want to. But Sanju Verma, I also want to. But Sanju Verma, I also want to. Yes, Sanju Verma, I also want to make it a point to say this, that yes, those fault lines between the 2 ethnic communities has been a long-standing one, but this particular crime is not a complicated dynamic like that issue. This crime is that of a crime. But yes, Sanju Verma, go ahead.
Thank you. Poonam, let us be very clear that while this crime needs to be condemned, I have to say this, that for a long time, the problems in Northeast have been simmering because of these reasons, and in 20 seconds I'll tell you. The 1985 Assam Accord signed by whom? Rajiv Gandhi. The 1986 Mizo Accord signed by whom? Rajiv Gandhi. The 1988 Tripura Accord signed by whom? Rajiv Gandhi. The 1993 Bodo Accord signed by whom? By Congress's then Prime Minister Narasimha Rao. All these accords were aimed at giving rights to the indigenous communities, be it in Assam, Mizoram, Tripura.
You will be allowed to mislead the
Rajiv Gandhi
nation.
failed. Rajiv Gandhi failed. You failed to give rights to the
Like I said sometime
community.
back in this debate, and I'm sure Biren Nepram will back me on this. Governments have come and gone, parties have changed both at the center and the state, but unfortunately not much has changed on ground. I am running out of time, which is why I want to leave it at this. But unfortunately, these ethnic fault lines which have existed for the last few decades perhaps have been allowed to fester in so much that it has reached a point of no return for at least some, like the women that are involved in this particular crime, the women that have to live their life perhaps in shame of public humiliation of being paraded naked in Manipur. But I thank you all for joining us here on this broadcast. Before we move on, there's some breaking news that's now coming in, and this is from Rajasthan, where we're now learning that the Chief Minister has sacked Minister of State Rajendra Guda. This is after the Minister of State said that the state government has failed in securing safety of women. He said instead of Manipur, the government should look within. Instead of talking of Manipur, let's talk of Rajasthan, is what this Minister of State had said inside the assembly, on the floor of the assembly. Minutes after that, we've seen the Mantri being given the boot.
ये स्वीकार किया जाना चाहिए। सच्चाई है कि हम महिलाओं की सुरक्षा में असफल हो गए और ये राजस्थान में जिस तरीके से अत्याचार बढ़े हैं महिलाओं के ऊपर, मणिपुर के बजाय हमें अपने गिरेबान में झांकना
Pallavi, there was a leader within the Congress, a Minister of State no less, showing the mirror to the party. Minutes later, he gets the boot.
This certainly has given a huge issue, I would say, for the BJP, and I think this could be that bad moment really for opposition, particularly for the Congress party, beginning Monday inside Parliament. Because now clearly we have been reporting on this, the opposition has been attacking the government on the Manipur issue, and now the question will be tossed back at them. Why is it that the minister who had tried to show a mirror, who actually admitted during the assembly, Rajasthan assembly session, which is going on, saying that while what happened in Manipur was terrible, but we also need to look at within. See, Rajasthan has been registering, and there have been reports of several incidents of abuse or crime against women, and this is a point which was referred to by many in the BJP, that while we admit that what had happened in Manipur was wrong, why is it that there is a complete silence by the opposition leaders when it comes to states which are ruled by them, whether it's Rajasthan, whether it's Chhattisgarh, or whether it's West Bengal? Not only will it give an ammunition to the BJP, it also makes it very difficult in an election year for the Congress party in Rajasthan, particularly since women empowerment, giving various stops, giving various reliefs to women, has become the calling card of the Gehlot administration.
Absolutely. This comes just months ahead of elections in Rajasthan. Women's safety is going to be a key issue that is picked up. Is the Gehlot government going to be on the back foot? That we'll have to see. But for the moment, Pallavi, thank you so much. From one election-bound state to another. Now, in Telangana, ahead of state elections which are slated later this year, there is a major flashpoint between the ruling BRS and the BJP. The Telangana government announced that it's mulling a financial assistance proposal of 1 lakh rupees to members of the Muslim community. The BJP came right out to slam the KCR government's move. They called it nothing but appeasement ahead of elections. It's a bribe to voters, is what they said. Vote bank politics by a party that's desperate to hold on to power was the allegation of the BJP. Now, the ban of welfare policies in Telangana is a major drain on the exchequer in a state with hefty and increasing debt. So is this a well-thought-out social welfare policy like the BRS says, or is it a clear vote bank tactic by a party that faces serious anti-incumbency?
हम माइनॉरिटीज के लिए भी 1 लाख रुपया बगैर बैंक कंसेंट सीधा हुकूमत से देने वाला है।
The Minority Bandhu scheme announced by our Finance Minister Harish Garu is nothing but pure vote bank politics. Because in KCR's mind, minorities means Muslims, just Muslims.
Now, the cost on the exchequer is a large one as far as this particular scheme goes. What are going to be the nitty-gritties as far as who the beneficiaries are going to be? What is the kind of population of the Muslim community in the state of Telangana? Has all of this been studied before such a proposal was mooted by none other than the finance minister of the state? That's a question many people are asking. Is it also then just about the optics? Is it going to be something that woos the voter in the long run, ensures another term for Chief Minister KCR? Is that all that is there to it, as the BJP alleges? We will be joined shortly by the BJP and BRS spokespersons on this big debate. But take a look at the numbers of the outstanding liabilities that the Telangana government has. Over the years, from 2019 to 2023, that figure has only increased. Look at where it stands at the moment. This is as per the RBI. The debt that the exchequer faces in Telangana is only increasing. But so is their proposal to allocate money for several welfare schemes is. Is it all time to election? Is it not a fiscally prudent proposal? That is the question that many are raising, not just within the BJP, but it's something that several other banking agencies, including an SBI report that questioned freebies and the culture of that in states like Telangana and many others. That is something that has been raised time and again. Khalikur Rahman, leader of the BRS, joining us here on this broadcast. The spokesperson of the BJP will be joining us shortly. But Mr. Rahman, let me ask you this. The BJP says this is nothing but appeasement. You had several years in governance. You had several years where the chief minister was, where KCR was the chief minister. Why didn't you think of the welfare of the minority community then? Why think of it now, 4 months before elections?
See, good evening to you. Let me tell you that when it comes to not only the welfare of the minorities, but welfare of all the communities, welfare of all the 4 crore people of Telangana is our responsibility, and that's what, in fact, we have guaranteed to the people of Telangana. And the BJP, in fact, I think they have misquoted our honorable minister, Mr. Harish Rao. He said it's for minorities. He didn't say it's for Muslims. When you say minority, then I think the BJP should know that minorities includes the Christians, the Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, and the Parsis. So, this is nothing to do with the election, or this is nothing for the appeasement of the people, actually, because it is the responsibility of every government. For example, if the BJP, in 2019, they had said that because they will be giving, 5 crore scholarships to the 5 crore Muslims and the minorities. So, I mean, when the BJP talks, it's not appeasement because it is a policy, it is a scheme. But that's a double standard. That's what the BJP, always talks about. And BJP should realize that, and it always talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. But it doesn't follow that, because Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas is not possible without Sabka Vishwas. So it is that the BJP itself talks on one hand about the Pasmanda Muslims. They use the word Muslims. And on the other hand, when we try to empower the people of our state, forget about the community, forget about the religion. It is to do with the empowerment of the people, because it is the responsibility of every government, be it BJP, be it Congress, be it BRS, whichever party is in power, it is the responsibility. And unfortunately, what we have seen that in the last 70 years of the BJP's and the Congress's power at the center, and also in our state, we had seen that the minorities were neglected. So we have to provide the level playing field to everyone, actually.
Sure, appeasement or not, I'll let NV Subhash of the BJP come in on that. But I want to ask you one follow-up question before I do that, Mr. Khalikur Rahman. There was an SBI research that came out last year which said that 35% of revenue receipts that are committed of the state to popular schemes, which in terms of percentage as far as the state's revenue is concerned, it's 63%. Forget what the intent of this particular scheme would be, or whether it's meant only for minorities, only for Muslims, or every minority in the state. Does the state have money to make this promise in the first place?
Absolutely. See, because as far as our state is concerned, definitely, because see, they are the kind of the employment generation we are doing, the kind of the revenue generation we are doing, the kind of the taxes we are earning. So this is all adding up to our revenue. Out of which, what is the government is not run as a business. The government is run to provide all the basic necessities to the people to cater to their welfare. So that is the objective of the government. Actually, the government is not here to make profit or make loss. The government is here to collect the revenues and distribute that revenues among the people, and the government is making no stone unturned in order to get the investment.
Sure, welfare measures are the responsibility and the duty of every state government, but they also have to be fiscally prudent, which is the point I was trying to make. But let me get in Mr. Subhash as well. As far as the BJP is concerned, Mr. Subhash, you say this is nothing but appeasement. But the BRS spokesperson says that the entire comment with which this controversy started, that in itself has been taken out of context. The minister said minorities, not Muslims. That includes several other communities.
Yeah, good evening to all. First of all, let me tell you first to Mr. Rahman that he is, representing the BRS on that. And from past 9 years, Honorable, the Chief Minister, Mr. Chandrasekhar Rao, he is only doing the appeasement policy whenever the elections are there, especially in the Telangana state, whether it is, the local body elections or the by-polls or, the general elections. He comes with some kind of appeasement to all sections of the people, and he is very clear that he wants to get some votes from the Muslim community so that he can be in power in the next elections also. As we remember in 2014, after he became the chief minister and when the statehood was formed, there was a survey which has been done all over the state.
We'll try and reconnect that line. I believe you have some audio issues with... We'll try and reconnect that line with Mr. Subhash. But Khaliqul Rahman, if you were listening to what the BJP spokesperson was saying, that appeasement politics is something that has been practiced by the KCR government since time immemorial.
See, that is quite the unfortunate part when it comes to the BJP. BJP knows only one word, that's the appeasement. Whatever good you try to do for the people, then they take it as appeasement. And whatever they try to do, they call it not the appeasement, but they say that we are trying to empower the people. So that is the difference between the BJP's mentality and the mentality of, the BRS, because BRS does everything with the intention of
So it's not the BRS's appeasement politics, Mr. Subhash, it's the BJP's appeasement politics, which is why that's the only lens you can see anything and everything through. That's the allegation that is being made against you.
See, if you can see, the Modi's policies where minorities have been benefited in this country because of the Bharatiya Janata Party under the leadership of Narendra Modi, around 15 schemes have been have been implemented. Now it has been implemented, including minorities. But whereas in Telangana, Mr. Rahman is telling that, the Bharatiya Janata Party is taking only the Muslims' name and that. How come you did not invite yesterday all the people from the, the minority community? Why did you invite only the Muslim community in that? You know very well that all the minorities are against, the TRS because again and again and again and again, they cheat the people just before the elections on that. Where is the revenue to give 1 lakh people, 1 lakh rupees to the Muslim community? Where is the revenue to give around 10 lakhs to SCs and STs in this state? Where is the revenue? Where is the cost benefit analysis? Where are you going to get on that? That thing has to be explained in that. When we compare with the Modi's government, very clear and evident that 15 schemes have been implemented that includes the Muslims also. Even people who are supposed to go to abroad also, they can get the soft loans on that. There are Maulana Azad, the scheme also is there. So all the people have been, they benefited in that. When we give, the gas connection, the gas connections to certain sections of the people, we don't discriminate whether they are SCs, STs or minorities or Muslims on that. But whereas in Telangana, it is very clear that this is only appeasement and appeasement. Bharatiya Janata Party is not against Muslims. Bharatiya Janata Party is against people who exploit the minorities in this state. That's why we have been fighting. That's why we have been telling that whenever you talk about the minorities on that, you bring all the communities on the dais and then you give everyone. But before that, before you announce a scheme, the populist scheme, we are not against for the populist scheme. We are not against for the welfare schemes. But where is the budget? It has to be very clearly explained to the people of the state. Then you can give something on that.
Yes.
From past 10 years, you have been telling that you will be giving 3 acres to Dalits. Where is the land? Where how many people you have given? From past 10 years, the KCR government is telling that they will give double bedroom houses to the people. How come you did not give? All these things have been addressed on that. Mr. Rahman, you have to think before you talk about that. This is exclusively, you are exploiting the Muslim community. You are not in favor of the Muslim community. You are not empowering them. It's only Bharatiya Janata Party. It's only Narendra Modi's government. Please mind that.
And is there a blueprint, Mr. Khalikur Rahman, or is this just a statement, or is this just a hope that has been given to the voters? Where is the money coming from? Like the BJP spokesperson was asking as well, is something that I pointed out too. The stats don't really fare well for the state of Telangana as far as its financial liabilities, outstanding liabilities go, or as far as the outlay of how much you've allocated to several of these schemes is concerned. Is there a blueprint? Do you have any details of who the beneficiaries are going to be, what the criteria is going to be like? Or is that something that is going to be a work in progress and we'll figure it out as and when we go?
Before I, take your question, I would like to go to what Mr. Subhash said. He said that BJP is the only party which is the well-wisher of the minorities. I want to ask Mr. Subhash a very direct question. The BJP government has reduced the minority budget from 5,020 crores in 2022-23 to 3,097 crores. It's a whopping slash of 38%. And then still they claim that they have done so much for the minorities and for the Muslims. And in 2019 they said they will be giving 5 crore, the scholarship to the 5 crore Muslim and the minority. And today, I want to ask Mr. Subhash, how many Muslims and how many minorities have been actually given the scholarship by the BJP government? And now coming to your question, it is not that we talk in the air. We do our homework, we make a complete blueprint, then we announce. And as far this is concerned, because there's already a financial assistance scheme for our, the BCs, and then no community should be left behind. And let me tell you, there is also criteria. It is not that every minority is going to. No.
Mr. Subhash, I'll come to you. Mr. Subhash, I'll come to you. Let Mr. Rahman have his say. I'll come to you. Mr. Rahman, finish your point.
There's a criteria. The criteria is that the economically backward minority people from the community will be getting this assistance.
But if it's for economically backward people, then why just restrict it to certain communities? That's the question that the BJP has also been asking. If the criteria is your economic status, then that should be open to everyone, right? If the criteria is only your economic status.
Absolutely. See, what happens is there is a scheme for the SC, ST, there is a scheme for the Dalits. So likewise, there is a scheme. And apart from that, on top of this, there are also the State Finance Corporation. There is a BC State Finance Corporation. There is a SC/ST State Finance Corporation. There is a Minority State Finance Corporation.
Sure.
And these are the finance corporations which came through the Act of the Parliament. And through that,
sure,
the different communities are being reached out to raise their the living standard to
sure, but that's the argument that the BJP is not ready to buy. I'm running short of time, but Mr. Subhash, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so let me just bring to your notice, Poonamji, this the budget of the state is in the doldrums. There is no the payment to the government employees, it's the deferred payment. Some people are getting in the first month, the first day, and then some people are getting on the 10th and 15th on that. The whole contractors in this state are now in the doldrums. They are literally on the streets.
Yes.
And education
and those red flags have been raised by multiple financial institutions, not just by your political rivals, Mr. Khalikur Rahman, which is why it begs the question of, does the state government have the money to deliver the promises that they're making, or are they just promises ahead of elections? Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time, gentlemen. But thank you so much for joining us here on this broadcast of Brass Tacks. With that, it's a wrap from my side.
Yeah, Evgen Shelar, very good morning. Loud and clear copy. I'm at the base station. There's a clip going on live on Tanker Victor. demo to them. FG and JPN, over.
Copy that, sir. Copy that.
Yeah, thank you. Fine and copy. DCS is also with you?
So he is between me and you.
Okay, Delta chaliye ko JPN. Yeah, you are coming in. You are coming 5757 over.
We are right here at the Isalwadi village where this particular landslide took place late last night. Around 11:30 p.m. was when the landslide took place. Now the NDRF team has called off its rescue operation. You can see the team coming down all the way from the top. The hill that you see, in fact behind this hill, the one that's covered in fog, is where the incident took place late last night. Ever since then, rescue operation is constantly on. It will begin again tomorrow at 5 a.m. Right now, the challenges that are being faced by the NDRF team is that there is very low visibility. Like you can also see in these visuals, the entire area is covered in fog. Also, it's constantly raining around this area. This was something that even Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, who visited the spot all the way until there, mentioned that they had kept helicopters ready for the rescue operation, but rains and the visibility there is making it even more difficult to get any access. And in fact, this is the base camp where we are from here. The route towards this particular village where this incident took place is approximately 2.5 hours by foot. There is no other way that any kind of help can in fact reach there. The only way is this small route wherein only one person can walk at a time. Also with the rains, it is becoming even more difficult because the entire area has become mucky and people are slipping around that spot. So the accessibility is a problem, which is where at the end of this day, closing it, in fact, NDRF team has mentioned that they had rescued 21 people and so far 16 people have been declared dead.
Quite a tragic incident that has taken place, and you can constantly see the visuals on your screen as to how the particular situation has panned out and how the rescue operations are taking place. We have Yasha Kotok from the particular ground joining us live on this broadcast. Yasha, a very good morning to you. Well, rescue operations have been resumed, and what information are we receiving post the teams have resumed their work this morning, and what are the difficulties they're facing on the ground even now?
So yes, the rescue operations have started again early this morning. Last night, after there was low visibility, also considering that once the sun sets, the area which does not really have any kind of electricity arrangement, there's no possibility that NDRF can continue its operation. The NDRF team had in fact reached the previous night around 12 o'clock, following which the operation had only begun in the morning because of the visibility problem. This morning, considering NDRF team has reached the spot, now the major challenge here is that this particular area, this particular village, that is the Isalwadi village, is on top of a hill wherein accessibility is a problem for NDRF team to take medical supplies also up there. It will take anywhere between 2 to 2.5 hours of a trek along a route which is filled with muck, and it's constantly pouring and there's fog, which is where visibility is a problem, accessibility is a problem with the rain, and which is where now, considering that most of these houses, they are in 40 to 50 feet of mud, rescuing people or even getting the dead bodies out is a big challenge. In fact, what was seen yesterday was that as of now, the death reported is 16. Those who were reported dead, there was a post-mortem conducted at that particular village spot itself, and they were given a burial close to the landslide area. Those who were being rescued were being brought down to the base camp. Let us tell you, base camp to the landslide location is approximately 2.5 hours of trek. We've seen that there were several ministers, including Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, who had reached that spot, which is a very difficult terrain to, in fact, reach. But now, considering that the NDRF operations are on,
Maharashtra, wherein even as bad weather hampers rescue operations at the landslide affected region in Maharashtra's Raigad, the NDRF teams have resumed the rescue operations in order to evacuate those trapped inside the debris, and the last rites of those who have passed away in the landslide will be conducted. So far, as per figures that have been shared by the NDRF, 16 people have been reported dead, while 21 were rescued alive, and 75 people were safely evacuated from the village. Chief Minister Eknath Shinde also visited the spot on Thursday. Let's take a look at what all happened in Maharashtra yesterday.
1 Maharashtra, wherein even as bad weather hampers rescue operations at the landslide affected region in Maharashtra's Raigad, the NDRF teams have resumed the rescue operations in order to evacuate those trapped inside the debris, and the last rites of those who have passed away in the landslide will be conducted. So far, as per figures that have been shared by the NDRF, 16 people have been reported dead, while 21 were rescued alive, and 75 people were safely evacuated from the village. Chief Minister Eknath Shinde also visited the spot on Thursday. Let's take a look at what all happened in Maharashtra yesterday.
महाराष्ट्र के रायगढ़ जिले में इरशाल गांव के ऊपर लैंडस्लाइड हो चुका है और इस दुर्घटना में अभी तक 16 जन की मौत हो गई है। इसमें बहुत सारी दिक्कतें आ रही है। अभी नेटवर्क इशू की वजह से कम्युनिकेशन यहाँ पर नहीं हो रहा है, लेकिन रिलायंस की तरफ से यहाँ पर कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर खड़े किए गए हैं। 4 कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर से अभी रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चालू है और रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन में कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर का अभाव जो है वो पूरा दिख रहा है। हम ये कैसा कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर है, किस तरह से ये चलने वाला है, ये जयप्रकाश जी से पूछने वाले। सर, ये कैसा कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर काम करने वाला है और इसका कितना हेल्प ये रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन में हो जाएगा?
ये जो है VHF सेट है, वेरी हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी। ये डायरेक्ट लाइन ऑफ साइट काम करती है, मतलब डायरेक्ट कम से कम 50 किलोमीटर हम लोग कहीं पे भी ऑल ओवर द सराउंडिंग 50 किलोमीटर हम लोग बात कर सकते हैं इसके थ्रू। और अगर इंटरनेट होगा तो इंटरनेट के थ्रू भी हम लोग बात कर सकते हैं, बट यहाँ पे इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी का थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम्स है, मोबाइल रीचेबिलिटी।
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. India has banned the export of rice, and this has sent global markets into panic mode. India is the world's largest exporter of rice. Why has it slapped the ban then? Because food prices are set to go up the world over. Ukraine's exports have been hit. Russia has rejected the grain deal and it is pounding Ukrainian ports with missiles. The damage is being felt in the global food market. We'll bring you the full story and how India is central to it. And while the world suffers from inflation and a cost of living crisis, King Charles of England is getting a 45% pay hike. We'll discuss why this is problematic on many levels. In New Delhi, the Sri Lankan president is visiting. He met Prime Minister Modi. They signed deals, they made statements, but the whole affair looks a bit frosty. We'll discuss the inside story. Speaking of which, China wants to go deep inside the earth to find gas. It is digging a 10,000-meter hole to the crust of the earth, while Russia is making new moves to control the Arctic. And Amsterdam wants the tourists out. All of that and more coming up. The headlines first. Ukrainian president fires the country's ambassador to the UK. He'd criticized Zelensky's response over